Hey everybody, and welcome to Hearts and Minds Sales Training for January 6, 2026. And today we're going to complete, or at least extend, what we started talking about a few days ago, which is caring for your client. Remember in one of our first videos, we talked about 4 different things that will help you improve your processes and help you bring in more clients and prospects. Well, caring for your clients was the number 2 thing. Do you remember what the number 1 thing was? It's being yourself. And so we talked yesterday about caring for your clients and how that might look. And today what I've decided to do is I'm going to take you through a couple of my personal experiences, and one as me as a buyer and another one as me selling something, so you can kind of learn from some of the things that I've been through what might or might not work best for you. So the first thing I want to talk about is back in 2003, I guess it was, I was looking for a house in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I had a good idea of what I wanted out of a house. You know, we were looking for a ranch style, 2-car garage, no steps. We wanted a house that, wasn't on like a cookie cutter lot or in a cookie cutter neighborhood. Didn't necessarily want to be in a HOA, but we were willing to look there. And so when I went out with the first agent, I gave them our list. These are things that we've got to have, and these are things that would be nice to have in our new home. And he started taking us out and showing us different properties. And something I noticed almost right away, none of those properties that he showed was on either list. Not the stuff from the must-have was not there, and the stuff that was nice to have was not there either. So we were we were very motivated. So we didn't want to wait around for him to figure out what we wanted. And I could tell just through our interactions that he really wasn't listening to us. He was taking us to the houses he wanted to show and to things that he thought were important in that area. So we quickly made a decision to call another agent. We went through 6 agents total, including the first one, that we fired them all because none of them listened to anything we had to say on our must-have list or nice to, these things would be nice to have list. And I was getting very frustrated with it. So I decided to go and look on my own a little bit. And we went out with a realtor who didn't seem to have a lot of time for us, which was fine. And back in those days, if there was a key to a house, it was in a keypad where you put in a number and it would give you the key. Now, the agent did something I wouldn't recommend you doing. Of course, it's harder to do these days. You can't just let somebody into someone else's house. But I guess maybe she didn't take us seriously either, but she gave us her keypad code so we could gain access into some of the houses that I had found on my own. And so I found this one house. I think I went through like 7 houses, but this last house I was about ready to give up. I was about ready to say, you know what, I guess we're going to end up staying in an apartment for another year until we can find, something that meets our needs. So it was tough even for me, knowing what my needs were, to find something that really fit us well. And so this last house I went in, it wasn't like perfect. It was a 2-story. All the bedrooms were on the 2nd story, which we did not want. But everything else about the house met our needs and some of our wants. Had a larger lot. It had a 2-car garage with plenty of space in the garage. A nice layout for the kitchen and living room area. Had a fireplace. Just some nice little things. It had a little back deck on it that we liked. So I wanted to make an offer, and I found out that this house was a HUD home. And I won't go into all the details on that, but we went to the agent that had given us the key code, and we told her, okay, we really like this house. We want to make an offer on it. Can you help us do that? And she did. And our initial offer was rejected. So the very next day we went in again and made a second offer. And this time it got accepted. We had changed the parameters just slightly. And we were able to buy that house. Now, she earned a commission off that sale. Don't really think she deserved it, okay? I just don't. I mean, I did the work. I did the legwork. She wasn't with us on any of the showings. She was a sweet enough person, but she really didn't have time for us. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you're dealing with clients, you need to listen to what your clients are trying to tell you. Because if you don't listen, they're going to figure out pretty quickly, or most people will, that you're not a good fit for them, because no matter what they're saying to you, you're just showing them what you want them to see. So client care, one of the aspects of client care that's so important is to actually listen to your clients. You know, I sold cars for a little while, and selling cars, people would tell you what they wanted if you were willing to listen. And I saw so many other salespeople, they would take, like we talked about on one of the earlier videos, they'd take the soccer mom out who has 5 kids that she shuttles around in a minivan to see a sports car. What was that all about? Was that meeting her needs? I mean, now if she said, hey, look, we're keeping the minivan to shuttle the kids around, but I want something sporty to drive, to be my everyday driver, my weekend vehicle, whatever it might be, then yeah, maybe they're meeting her needs. But if she comes explicitly looking for something to transport 5 children to soccer practice, is showing her a sports car really what you want to do? Are you listening to what she's telling you? Are you paying attention to your client's needs? What are you doing? So this is something that I think is so important in the sales process, is to, listen to your client, make good notes. That's something that I hardly ever go anywhere without. I have some way of taking notes when I'm talking to a client. Start out with their name. I start out with their contact information. Hopefully it's a phone number. It's not just an email address. And I just start writing down what they're telling me. And then as I go back through and present to them some of the options that I can give them, I'm going back through and I'm making sure I'm checking off those things that the client is looking for. And even if I don't sell exactly what they're looking for, I'm trying to show the client that, hey, I'm listening to your needs, and this is the best that we've got available for you at the moment. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. So let me tell you about another one of my experiences, this time as a salesperson. And I was selling a machine that was basically an air cleaner. And it was door to door. I mean, we'd go in people's houses to demonstrate it. And I drove up to this man's house, and the way that we got our foot in the door, so to speak, was we talked to a friend or a family member of theirs who gave us their name and phone number. And the reason they gave us their name and phone number, either they believed in the product and what it would do for them, or we were offering some kind of something of value to give that friend if they were to give us referrals. So on this particular instance, it was that their friend or family member was trying to win a set of really nice stainless steel cookware, and they were the last people that had to see the device in order for their friends to get this. So I drove up to the house, got out of the car, and this guy come out the door, an older man. He was very gruff. He wasn't very friendly. He said, "You can just go on. You don't need to do a demonstration here. You don't need to show us your purification system here. Just tell your boss you did it and we'll go along with it." And I said, "Well, sir, that's not how things work, right? I wished I could do that for you, but if you really don't want me to come into your house and you don't want me to demonstrate this, will you please call your friends that are counting on you seeing this presentation and let them know that you're the reason they're not getting the stainless steel cookware. He goes, oh, just get in here. So I got my material, I went into the house, and I started doing my demonstration. Now, what I didn't know going into it is that this gentleman's wife had severe breathing issues. And he thought he had everything wrapped up. He had a machine that was supposed to purify the air. And so I took his machine, I set it right in front of him, and I had a really bright spotlight so you could see the dust particles and stuff in the air. And I turned their machine on, and it was blowing more dust out into the room than it was taking in. So effectively, it was making her condition worse. And when she saw that, she covered up her mouth, and he jumped up and he ran out of the room, going to the back of the house. And I'm thinking, oh my God, as ill as this guy was when I drove up, I asked his wife, I said, is he going to kill me? She goes, I don't know what he's doing. And he come out with a checkbook in his hand, and he goes, how much is that thing? And he wrote a check right then and there for the air purification system. And then he went about thanking me for showing him that his old machine didn't keep the air clean the way that our machine did. And he was so appreciative because his wife was really struggling with breathing. And you know, that client, somehow they found out exactly where I lived. And this was late in the year. I think it was around Thanksgiving or Christmas one. And the both of them showed up in my driveway, and they walked over to my door, and they had brought me a batch of cookies that his wife had made for us. And he just wanted to give us a thank you. And he gave us the name of some of his friends and neighbors, just out of the goodness of his heart, that he told about our machine, and they were willing to see a demonstration because they knew this guy was not the kind of guy that was going to just blow smoke, right? If he was telling somebody it was a great experience and a great machine, they believed him. So, two things to take from that, okay? One is, don't be so quick to give up. As a new salesperson, when you run into somebody that's ornery, I think a lot of us would just back down, get back in our car, and leave. And you know, my livelihood was connected directly to me making a sale. And I had no idea if I was going to sell this guy anything, but I knew that he knew a lot of people in the community. And if I treated him with respect, my hope was I could come out of his house with some names and numbers of friends and family that he could call and ask them to see the demonstration. So regardless whether he bought or not, I know it's a numbers game. If I showed the machine to X number of people, I was going to make X number of sales. So don't be so quick to give up. You know, I had no idea about his wife's condition. I didn't know what she was dealing with. And it turns out that what I had was something that made a difference in her life, to the extent that they were so thankful that they tracked me down later just to give me some homemade cookies as a way of saying thank you, and more names and phone numbers of people that I could go and show this machine to. So treat people with respect, but don't back down so easily. Make sure those people that are counting on you to work on their behalf, that you're listening to them, that you're listening to their needs. That is one of the biggest skills that new salespeople need to learn, is they need to learn to listen, make notes, and show the client that you're putting their needs first. I'm glad you joined me for this session. Again, my name is Eddie. This is Hearts and Minds Sales Training. It's completely for free. And I hope you learned something from it. Share this with your friends and family. Let's help other people in sales grow their business through adopting some of these common sense but really good sales techniques. Talk to you soon. God bless.